What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm unfortunately starting back in the Porsche here, which is not a bad thing, but the bad thing is yesterday, after a long day of commuting, I was driving the Saab all day after the road trip, and everything was fine, and I went to go help a friend out, and you know, I needed to come back home, and I was ripping on the car to get home quick. And you know, when you're ripping on the car across the country, the car has room to cool off and that pressure doesn't build. But for some reason last night when I was ripping on my way home, I was leaving again, and I started to see poofs of smoke coming out from the front of the car, and I saw a lot of fluid dropping on the ground, and clearly something had broke. So I had to park the car, hop in this car, and finish my evening. So I'm gonna go home now, or back to the house where the car is, and we're gonna start to inspect what is going on. I thought it was a radiator at first, but I'm still thinking we have some issues with the transmission that we've been hurdling with the last couple weeks. So keep you guys posted here as to what exactly is going on, but you can't really make this stuff up. I had plans to just do an oil change and service on this car, put in a new thermostat since the one in there is no good, and kind of go on my merry way, but I gotta put all that on hold and deal with this situation now. But hopefully it's not so bad, so I'll keep you guys in the loop here, and hopefully you guys enjoy. Hopefully there's some content here we can all learn from. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so here's the car. This is where I parked it last night after it started leaking. We got fluid on the passenger side. It looks like it could potentially be the radiator. So if that's the case, we got to pull the front nose apart. So let's get this thing up on a ramp here and check it all out. Crazy stuff. And here's the fluid on the driveway. Fun stuff, guys, fun stuff. All right, boys, so before we hop into this video, I wanted to reach out to all of you guys in the community, see if you guys can assist in any way. A good client of mine reached out. He called me yesterday, said, hey Kyle, I bought a 1968 Volkswagen Bug. He says, I already separated the body from the pan. I'll put all the pictures right here for you guys. And he just wants some resources for parts and other ideas. He knows how to weld, obviously, otherwise he wouldn't be doing half of this. And the garage that it's in is actually his own garage, which is pretty sweet. It's kind of my ideal garage there. So check this out. And if you guys know anybody around the car world that's really awesome with not only parts for these old 1968 Beetles and Bugs, or whatever you want to call them, Volkswagen Bugs, but also people that have done restorations on these things. So if you guys have any suggestions, please either email me or drop a comment down below so I can share it with him, because obviously cars are cars and we all love cars, right? So definitely hook it up if you can. Let's hop into this Saab. And here is that stain that we were chatting about. I'm gonna have to clean this all up now. So let's see what this is all about. And I just got one finger lick and drip, and it seems like it's coolant. So let me pull that pan down underneath and we'll show you guys some more. And hey, this is gonna be a daily driver and a road trip car. Luckily it made it to and from Chicago pretty much flawlessly, minus the brake line. And you know, if the radiator wanted to go bad because it's got 200,000 miles on it, I'm glad it happened last night in the driveway after a short ripping session. You know, obviously when you rip on these cars, especially when they're older, no matter what, you know, all that heat and pressure expands when that engine heats up. And you know, if I was just ripping on it for 15 minutes straight, which is what I was doing, all that pressure just built up without having that flow of air to cool it down, without excess heat. And of course that excess heat and pressure popped obviously the radiator. So it's all good. I'm actually really not upset. It's just gonna be a little work. So let's check this out. All right guys, we are under here and there is literally coolant everywhere. So I would venture to say that it is time to replace this radiator. This is all coolant here, so I'm gonna go order one. All of this is coolant, and it looks like that bolt is not plugged in, so we gotta address that. I don't know why that's loose like that. So let's go ahead. I'll order everything up, see if we can get this in today. A little bit of a mess. I still have the transmission dip pulled up, so that's why there's transmission fluid dripping down. If you guys haven't noticed it, I can show you. So what I'm gonna do is, this is an optimal time to, I'm gonna service the cooling system and replace that thermostat, since it's all gonna be drained out. And I'm gonna suck some more fluid out from the transmission. I might even drain it out completely again. And I still suspect that transmission's over full, or maybe there's an issue with the transmission and the radiator. So we're gonna go in and dig into this. So in the meantime, I gotta, first things first, just because it's the end of the beginning of the day, try to get a radiator in from the parts store. See how this goes. Boys, so I guess in this video we're just gonna start to disassemble the front end, get everything ready to go, and also replace the coolant thermostat that's in the engine block, because I suspect that the failed, or the defective, because that was a new thermostat I put in there, it just didn't work. I feel like with an aging 200,000 mile radiator in this car, if it hadn't been replaced prior, at least it's very old, that thermostat could attribute to the failure of the radiator, besides for me ripping on the car, because obviously that will create excessive heat in the engine bay, and obviously that pressure inside the system. But if that thermostat isn't opening, closing as the car is driving, that means there's a constant pressure and flow of that cooling fluid constantly going through the system. And obviously, especially an old radiator, I would suspect that that could cause the excess pressure to eventually cause the failure of the radiator. So obviously I bought this stuff online because it was still cheaper to pay expedited shipping online than go to the advanced parts store locally to me. They don't do any discounting or breaks anymore, because that just seems to be the problem with retail today. So I ordered online, and I'm gonna go ahead in this video, since we won't have the radiator yet, to just disassemble the front end, replace that thermostat, and just kind of prep this thing for when that monster delivery gets in. I also ordered an oil and filter for the car, so we can change the oil. There's about 5,000 or so miles on this oil, so it's gonna be good for us to go ahead and change it. It's about due. So I guess for starters, I'm just gonna remove this front bumper, because I want to go ahead and put the car down to do the cooling thermostat there. And this time I bought, instead of like an aftermarket thermostat, I bought a Saab original, paid the extra $5 or $10 for the thermostat, just to make sure that it works. I mean, and then what we'll do is we'll test this and see if it's working on the stove. I suspect it's not, but keep you guys posted. Let's hop into it. Alright guys, so we are just about to remove the bumper. As you can see, we got everything taken out. One thing to let you guys know is there's a quick disconnect right here on these windshield washers. So you just kind of go in here and press this out, and it will disconnect. So both sides. So that's the last thing I need to do here, and this bumper will fall right out, minus getting the light bulbs out of the fog lights, so we can pull this whole thing off the car clear. Alright guys, we have coolant everywhere. So pretty good that taking this all apart here. Alright guys, so I just got the approval of using the garage spot all weekend, so here's what we need to do. We got to remove this pipe, we got to move this pipe and this out of the way, get the battery cover out of the way, and then what we're going to do is slowly remove the fan shield, which is held on by a couple screws, and also get rid of these hoses. So this is going to be a project. It's not that bad because once the fan shroud is out of the way, you just kind of push these tabs down here on the radiator support, and that radiator will come sliding forward and remove. So obviously we need to remove the battery and the battery tray, and obviously some of this material here. So that's kind of how this runs. This front end here didn't need to come apart, I don't think, but it was probably best to get everything out of the way, and that's what we did. So we're going to be able to get everything a little bit easier access now that we moved it all out of the way, and we'll hop right in here and do it. Obviously it took me an extra 20 minutes of work, so it's not that big of a deal. So let's hop into this, guys. Hope you guys are enjoying this with me, because I'm not really enjoying it, but I'm glad that the radiator popped on our driveway, not on a road, especially on a road trip. So let's hop into it. All right, boys. So I got everything situated. I emptied out my pan to drain the coolant. So I'm gonna go underneath the radiator, find the plug, and unplug it, and let the coolant drain out. Let's rock it. All right, boys. So as that is finishing up down there, I already have the top radiator hose undone here, and we're gonna slowly just try to remove one bolt at a time here. We got the harnesses removed. I just have to snip some, there's the overflow tube here that goes back into the radiator, so I have a couple little zip ties to snip here on the top to remove that out of the way. So we're gonna just slowly start and work our way down, kind of like that. Alright, boys, we are back at it here. Took a little lunch break. Let's see how this plays out now. The fan shroud is loose in there. It's just a matter of getting it free and out. Don't know what's in the way, so bear with it. Okay, I got the last bolt. It's the trans lines holding on with one screw. Alright guys, there's our fan shroud. Alright, so the last thing before we actually pull the radiator out is to pull the cooler lines off from the trans. So the trans has two lines that go into the passenger side of the radiator here. Based on my recollection of pulling this before on the other 2008 9.5 we rebuilt from Copart last year, these are 19 millimeter. So I will sneak one in there, and we will carefully go ahead and take care of this. So be careful when you guys back this out. I'll show you right now. There's two banjo bolts, or two washers on the banjo bolt. One on the inside, like on typical Saab's fashion, and one on the outside. Alright boys, there she is. Alright guys, before I go ahead and take apart the car, let's do a little science experiment and see if this thermostat is Working. It's working. You guys can see it opened up. So now we let it cool off and see if it goes back. It's slowly going back now. You see it? Perfect. Perfect. All right, boys. So we did some testing on the thermostat. Obviously, it's working. We saw it open and close, so that's a good thing. I'm gonna go ahead now. It's on this side. Obviously, this is the upper rad hose here, so we just gotta undo the upper rad hose and a couple bolts back there behind the block, right on this side. Pop out the other one and call it a day until these parts come in. But there's the old radiator. I mean, it's really not that bad to pull it out. Just a couple things to move out of the way here. Get the fan shroud off, and there it goes. You know, everything else here stays right into place, and you should be all set. So let's keep it on rocking. 200,000 miles Saab is a little sick right now. Alright boys, so we're going to go ahead and put this new thermostat in. Always leave the breather at the 12 o'clock. And I'm putting OEM parts in, so hopefully this is solving our issue. And then we'll go ahead and put a new thermostat temp sensor in, since we've had one laying around. Alright boys, so we got the thermostat all situated and put back together. Now we're going to put a new temp sensor in. And that's right here. And obviously since everything's out, it's very easy to access. Undo the blue harness there and deep socket this. Should be good. There's the old one, guys. This is a Delphi part, so I don't know how old this is, but looks like it's been in there for quite a while compared to what the new one looks like. Okay, now that everything's situated here, I'm gonna put this hose back in. I'll probably put this on first. All right, that is secured. Now we'll put that inlet back on. All right, guys, I hope you guys learned something so far in this process. Obviously, I have to wait for the parts to get in, but I took care of everything that needed to be done outside the radiator. We did the thermostat, did the temp sensor, and everything else is obviously fine. So I'm thinking that as soon as that once that radiator gets in, we'll just go ahead, reinstall everything. We'll do another video, and then I'm gonna finish servicing some of the transmission and get the cooling system completely cycled through, and should be on our way. Put a fresh oil change in, and then we'll knock out another 5,000 miles and see how well it does in the next 5,000 miles. It's actually done fairly well in the first 5,000 miles of driving this car. Obviously, we had the ABS module go bad, but outside that and the other maintenance that we've done, which was elective maintenance, not selective maintenance, it's been fine. This time around, we've had the radiator go bad, but I wanted to show you that since it's now really out. I mean, you guys can see in this area here, this is where primarily a lot of the radiator fluid, the cooling fluid, was coming from. Clearly, you guys can see it's a little damaged in there, and I think that's the cause. Other areas could have been it too. We are leaking also on the bottom here. So that's transmission fluid, so we're leaking the fluid out from here. But yeah, this is, I think, the area where it was leaking. I'm not too sure what the deal is on this, why it started leaking, but regardless, for $100 we're replacing it. And that should be it for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please smash the subscribe button on this video. Comment below, give it a like because it's good for you and for me. It tells YouTube what you like to watch. And of course, it's good for my channel. Helps YouTube promote it. So more views and more watchers, people watching, the better. So it's always good for myself, but also, like I said, for you. So comment below, give it a like. Follow me at Kyle Pancis if you guys want to talk to me, have any questions, want to chat, want to share your projects, whatever it may be. Happy to reply. And I will see you guys next video. Stay tuned.